But had it been, an hour or two earlier, she would have been in her living room sitting on the couch with a bunch of bricks, flying at her face.
Wow.
So it kind of scary, I mean, timing obviously was great. Nobody got hurt, thankfully. I mean, man, talk about, there's nothing I could do or my management or anybody could do about it, but it's just, you're just so, happy that nobody got hurt. Not even the driver got hurt, which is great. I mean, the guy fell asleep at the wheel and he woke up inside an apartment building. So, I mean, yeah, people are excited to get in and live there. Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Are you ready to start investing in real estate today but don't know where to start? Sometimes investing can seem way too complicated, but it actually couldn't be any easier than with HomeInvest.com. You know the co-founder and my friend Nate Armstrong. He appeared on episode 20, and if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, episode number 20. Home Invest is a company that allows you to invest in turnkey real estate. Their goal is to build powerful investment tools that make real estate investing accessible to everyone. They have contractors and property managers available for you with the click of your mouse. While other real estate agents can only offer a property, Home Invest brings you a full turnkey package that allows you to diversify your investments, earn passive income, and start building equity in properties. Their simple, intuitive design allows newcomers and experienced investors alike to hit the ground running and to be able to choose the properties when they want and where they want. View easy to understand charts and data to allow you to buy in only a few clicks or just a simple phone call. With Home Invest, you'll be building your portfolio as quickly or as slowly as you would like. And right now, Home Invest is giving our listeners, Pillar of Wealth Creation listeners, a free course on how to finally win in real estate investing. So go to homeinvest.com/pillars. That's homeinvest.com/pillars to claim your free course today. Hey, welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer, and with me on these Hump Day Hustles, as always, is John Stiles with Bridge Realty. John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great today, Todd. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm feeling good. I was out last week, John. I killed my back, and so I was laying on the ground for 3 days straight. So I didn't get much work done, but hey, we're back at it. I'm excited. I'm ready to go this week. So I'm pumped.
Wow. So what'd you do to throw out your back?
I was it's hilarious. So I was landscaping and I'm carrying these big 80-pound blocks around and in my own house. So I hurt my back and I'm laying on the ground and my kids like to jump on me and stuff like that. And I kind of tell them they can't. And so I got this pinched nerve in my back. It's been there for 4 years now. And every once in a while, when I do something stupid, it flares up. And of course, carrying big, heavy landscaping blocks is stupid for somebody who's got a bad back. So anyway, so my daughter, I keep on saying, you got to, daddy can't, pick you up right now or whatever. And she goes, Dad, you really just should hire somebody to do this work. I'm like, oh man, you're so much smarter than me. So much smarter than me. But there's something about it. I don't know why I like to put myself through pain. I don't know why I like to do that type of stuff on my own house, but she's smarter than me, man. She told me right away, right like that, Daddy, why don't you should just hire somebody. Yep, you're right. So
About a year and a half ago, I had got some used appliances for an apartment unit, and it was down some stairs, and I was moving them down some stairs, and I just threw out my back real bad, and I had to see the chiropractor quite a bit since then. And so again, recently, I was getting some appliances, and I was like, should I move them myself, or I'll just hire the delivery people because it's not worth it,
So did you? You
Yes.
hired them? Yeah, good job. Good job.
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes we think we can do everything ourselves and, you know, which is fine. We've talked about it on the show before. I mean, obviously you've got to delegate and you got to let other people do the stuff that they do. And I'm not a landscaper. I can tell you that much. I shouldn't be doing landscaping, but I chose to do it. And, well, it turned out nice. It looks good. It's just, it's heavy freaking blocks that I'll never carry around again.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyways, what else you got going on, John? Anything new?
Not a whole lot. Had a closing the other day, and so I've got an opening in my schedule. If anybody wants to sell a property, we
Perfect.
happy to do that for you.
John can do it. Take it down.
So yeah, just still building my team. I think I mentioned on this podcast a while back that we're just kind of building some foundation building blocks for that. So nothing too crazy to report, but just putting it together. So
John, on a high level, what are you trying to do to build that team?
I would say a couple of things. One would be to just make my efforts go further. So, you know, there's only so much I can do within a 24-hour day. And so if there's additional people around me that maybe have different roles, different responsibilities, then they can, you know, carry the load and we can all get further together.
What are you doing though? What I meant is, what are you doing to try to get people on your team? Like, what are you,
Okay.
how are you doing that? What are you doing?
That question.
Yeah, that question.
You know, I'm not being too active about growing the team right now. I'm just,
Why not?
because I'm laying some foundation for it.
Sure.
So, for example, some basic stuff, getting the website up and running, which should be super easy, but
That's time consuming.
Can when everybody doesn't do what they're supposed to do, it can have some delays in it. And then just getting kind of the back end lead generation CRM up and running, and just creating my brand, which is kind of interesting that you brought up this. We're going to be talking about that, but yeah, just so it took a while to come up with a team name, took a while to come up with kind of a tagline that was meaningful for me and kind of encompass what I want the team to be about. And so, yeah, I think maybe in another month or so, I think I'll be ready to start marketing for more team members. And I want to do it slowly. I want to kind of grow slowly to make sure I'm bringing on the right people who are going to, embody what I want my team to be.
Sure.
So
do you have the team name yet? Do you mind
Yep.
sharing it?
Yeah, that's fine. VIP Real Estate Group.
Okay. And do you have the tagline you said?
Providing our mission is to provide 5-star customer service.
Okay. So we'll get more into that as we go, because that's right up to what we're wanting to talk about today is building a brand. So obviously that's kind of something you're doing right now. We don't want to build it just overnight on a whim. We want to actually prepare for it. Now, it doesn't mean you take 3 years to prepare for it, but you get ready, you fire, and then you aim, right?
Yep.
So, well, cool. For me, we're just, we've got, building we closed on just a month and a half ago. We're moving along on the construction. We should have 20 units renovated by the end of October. We've got 8 that should be ready the end of this month. And we're pushing along with that. We're still working with the insurance. We had a car that drove through one of our buildings, so we're still working on insurance in that aspect. So hopefully that'll get taken care of. And so just continue to work on that. Also working on trying to get some new properties. I've actually got a property that's a potential. We'll see. The sellers want a little bit more than I want to pay. Which is kind of the story, but we're not too far off. And it's a property right near the other two that I have in that city. And so it would make for 3 properties, all within less than a half a mile, actually probably a quarter mile, all within a quarter mile of each other. And it would be about 350 units. So that would be nice to have some, good size there in one location, definitely. And then working on several other buildings, trying to find the next one. We're not in a hurry. I think what I've mentioned before, this market is, obviously it's way different than it was in 2000, let's call it 10. We've seen a lot of change in pricing and cap rate compression and so on. So we're just being conservative, and I'd rather not buy anything for 2 years if it means I have to overpay. So that's just kind of where we're at with the properties. We're usually pretty low on our offer price compared to what the seller's wanting. So properties are hard to come by, but we just keep at it, and hopefully you land one.
That was a great picture with the car inside your building.
Yeah, wasn't it something? I'm sure that the tenant was, we had a tenant in that unit, and luckily she was sleeping because at the time that it happened, well, luckily the guy crashed through the living room, and it was late at night. It was like 11:30 or something like that at night. So when the guy crashed, she was already in bed sleeping. But had it been, an hour or two earlier, she would have been in her living room sitting on the couch with a bunch of bricks, flying at her face.
Wow.
So kind of scary, I mean, the timing obviously was great. Nobody got hurt, thankfully. I mean, man, talk about, there's nothing I could do or my management or anybody could do about it, but it's just, you're just so, happy that nobody got hurt. Not even the driver got hurt, which is great. I mean, the guy fell asleep at the wheel and he woke up inside an apartment building. So, I mean, yeah, people are excited to get in and live there. They're just driving right in. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was pretty amazing. I've never seen anything like it. But actually, I shouldn't say that. My sister crashed through, and she listens to this podcast sometimes. So if she's listening, she crashed through a storefront. I can't remember exactly how she did it, but her husband was inside. I think it was a video store. Her husband was inside, and somehow she accidentally hit the car into drive and then was trying to hit the brake to stop it, and she ended up hitting the gas or something like that. I can't remember the whole story. I'll have to ask her again, but she went flying right in through the building while her husband was inside. And he's like, that's my wife.
You're gonna have to start a support group for all these people.
Yeah. So anyways, let's move on to today's topic then, and that's exactly what you were talking about with your team, is building a brand recognition. And one of the reasons why I want to talk about it, I'm not an expert in this, and I don't think you are either. Maybe I'm wrong. So one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, though, is because I've been doing a lot of things to try to build my brand. And so I've been reading on it, not like a crazy ton, but I've been reading on it enough to have learned some stuff. And I think it's really important that we want to make sure that what we're doing is actually building our brand and being consistent and continuing to do so. So through social media, which is a very powerful tool, but it's not the only tool, but it's a very powerful tool. I have, and other tools than social media, but I have built my brand quite a bit over the last, I'd say, year and a half. And it's been such a noticeable difference with the consistency. And so I just wanted to kind of go through some of the stuff that I've learned. And there's obviously more, and everybody's going to have a unique situation as well, because everybody's got a different business. But so I just wanted to go through some of the stuff. So, John, why don't you start us off in kind of some of the stuff you've already mentioned, some stuff, but some of the things that you have been doing to build your brand to prep for getting new team members on your team.
Yeah. Well, I think it's worth mentioning that there's kind of some step-by-step practical things to do, and also kind of some thought process or mindset things with a brand. But to start off with, for example, choosing a name for your business or your brand, or whether it's a podcast or, in my case, a real estate team. On the one hand, you could name that entity anything and create the brand around it, and people just come to know that name, whether or not it has any meaning in and of itself. Big brands like Target, does that really mean,
Yeah, what's that mean?
home goods that you can find,
Right.
So that's a case where a brand was built around a name. In other cases, for example, maybe Best Buy is kind of a concept that they want you to, the words itself have a meaning that's going to encompass what the brand is about. So hopefully you're going to find at Best Buy the best buy on their products.
Circuit City, well, when it was around.
Yeah. So, and for me, I wanted my team name to do that. I selected VIP Real Estate Group, not because I want to attract people who already think of themselves as VIP, very important people, but because that's the way I want to treat my customers and my clients. I want to have that mindset about who my clients are. And so for me, choosing a name that was meaningful like that was really important.
Okay. Yeah. And I think, names are definitely important. I don't think you should be stuck on the name. I think there's so many different names out there. And you think about, especially like these, it seems like tech companies, like they almost like make up something that just isn't even a word. Like, I mean, like Tumblr, right? And it's, look at how it's spelled. And like, what's Twitter? Well, everybody knows what Twitter is, and we tweet now, but that wasn't even a word. I mean, really, nobody said, let's go tweet. They would think of a bird, chirping. So what's that have to do with, anything? I guess we're chirping as we're typing. Maybe that's, but anyways, so you can, I'm looking at something right now. It's called Colby. I don't even know what it stands for, but, and I know it's not the guy's last name because I know the guy's last name. So you can choose a name based on exactly what you said, recognition of, this product, the service, the industry. You could choose a name based on your name. However, one of the problems with choosing a name based on your name is that if you go to sell the business or leave the business, that might become a little more difficult because it's got your name tied to it, especially if, I mean, I guess, Ford is somebody's last name, and there's a lot of companies that are people's last name, but until you build major brand recognition, a name can be difficult.
Yeah, No, I just want to comment on that. You could, like you said, name it after yourself, but until that brand becomes so much bigger than who you are, then it's not very sellable.
Yeah.
And I actually thought a lot about that because a lot of real estate teams do use the team leader as their name, you know. Um, but I intentionally didn't want to choose the John Styles real estate team because I didn't want it to be all about me.
Right.
That seemed to be really self-centered, and I didn't feel like it would be very attractive for other potential team members. Why do they want to become a part of and be known as the John Styles real estate team?
Yep.
So
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think you've got actually a name that probably would have worked because you could say real estate styles or something like that. I mean, there is a realtor that was advertising a lot. He had a big team and branched out on his own, and he used his first and last name for his new brokerage name.
right,
And to me, that was a poor choice because, first of all, I wouldn't want to put my license with them because I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to, publicly bash them. But if I just wouldn't, because it's like, well, I don't. What do you mean? That's like, it's just weird. It's all about you, not about, me, my business, or the company as a whole. It feels like it's about you, especially first and last name.
hmm
I think is really difficult. Um, I think he would have been better served just using his last name. But he chose to use his first and last name, and that's what it is. And it'll hopefully work out well for him. But it just wouldn't have been my choice.
yeah. Well, and he has built quite a brand in
Yeah.
our um,
So he might do fine, and I hope he does. I mean, I don't wish anybody to do poorly. I just think that maybe it would have been a better idea just to use just his last name or something totally different personally.
yep,
But either way, I think it can be difficult using your own name, especially like you said, if you want to disassociate yourself, personal self, from that business. How can he ever sell that business? How
right,
can he ever franchise that business? That's
right,
a difficult model. And that's what you got to think of. What if this thing becomes huge? Like for him, if this becomes huge, you're either going to have to rebrand, or I think you're going to have a really tough time to franchise that brand throughout. If you want to make a Remax or Edina Realty or, big brand, even Keller Williams is two last names.
right.
But it's two last names. It's not Gary Keller
Mhm.
Real Estate. If it's Gary Keller Real Estate, that becomes about Gary Keller.
Yep,
So I think it's just hard you got to think about what your business name is. Can this name become national or international even? Can it become a name of recognition throughout? And can it become a name of recognition throughout without me? Once I step down,
right,
can this business continue?
yep,
And that's kind of what you got to look at. And maybe you don't care,
right.
but then it's fine.
No, I think that's a huge part of it too. Like, how long are you going to be a part of this company?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of entrepreneurs think kind of short-sightedly, and myself included. We're just thinking about the next thing, and this is what we're doing. This is what we're going to do forever, right? Because it's always going to work out. And but again, when I chose my name, I thought purposefully at some point, as much as I like what I do right now, in maybe 10, 20, 30 years, I want to move on to something else. And at some point, I'm going to die, you know, and
What?
so, but am I setting up a new entity that can be a wealth building tool for generations to come? You know,
Yeah. I mean, John, what if you build this VIP and it becomes big and you have, 50 agents, 100 agents underneath you, and then you go, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. This is what I want to do this instead. So now you appoint a CEO, somebody who can take over, yet you're going to still be, you're not going to sell the business. You're going to still be in the business. You're just going to step out of the business. You're
Right.
still going to profit. So now you can step out and do something else, yet you're still making money. You still have an asset, but you just stepped away, and that's huge. But when it's John Stiles Real Estate Group, that's a little harder to do because now where's John Stiles? He's gone.
Exactly. Yep. So who is this John Stiles?
Yeah, who is this guy? But as VIP, it's pretty easy to do because VIP is about itself. It's not about you.
Mhm.
And that's important for sure. And thinking long term is more than just the name. It's more than just the logo. The logo is important. The tagline's important. We talked about your tagline earlier. It's more than just that. It's about what's your first, what's your niche? Okay. And then what's your personality? What's your, not your personal personality? And it likely is tied to your personality, but what's your brand personality?
Mhm.
When you think of big kind of, names out there that do a lot of social media, think of like Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's very in your face. He's very excitable. He got he's got a very unique personality, and that's his that's his brand. I mean, that's how he acts all the time, and it's consistent. He's not coming out there one day acting one way and then another day acting another way. And he decided from the start, that's what I'm going to be myself. And actually, he talks about that where he actually didn't start like that. And eventually he did. But yeah, you want to be consistent with your personality. You want to be all of that. So hey, I want to interrupt this episode real quick to talk to you about Nate Armstrong, our sponsor, Nate Armstrong. He's with homeinvest.com, and you want to get to know Nate. So go to homeinvest.com and just connect with Nate, talk to him, learn about his operation, what he's got going on. He's a turnkey provider, and it may not be right for you, but it could be the perfect fit. So it doesn't hurt. It's a free call, consultation just to figure out, what they do, what they have to offer. And worst case is you're going to meet a great person who's really well educated in real estate. He's done a ton of different real estate strategies, and probably is going to teach you a little bit, even on a short conversation with him. So go to homeinvest.com and connect with Nate's company. You're definitely not going to be disappointed. It's worth it. So thanks, and we'll get back to our show. What else, John, are you kind of going through right now?
One of the things I'm waiting on is a logo to be designed.
Hmm.
So I put together, some ideas that I had and sent that to somebody to put together. And that's the thing with delegation. It's not happening as quickly as I'd like it to, but
Yeah.
I'm not putting my time into it. So, and I'm not holding up, you know, all of my endeavors just because of the logo, but I think the logo will be helpful in getting the brand out there for everybody to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the logo, the brand name, the website are very important items before you get out there too much. It's okay to put yourself out there without those things, but depending on how you go about it, it's nice to have that professionalism right up front.
Right.
So
Yep.
the more we can look professional and like we've actually thought about this process and are really set up, I think definitely the better.
Yep.
What's your, we want a niche, right? What's your niche?
Well, you know, I have a niche within the company, and then so I don't know. It's still being evolved, I suppose. But I think the idea is in the name, that just when you're looking for great customer service,
You guys are there.
that we are the ones to choose. Because there's, real estate agents are becoming more of a commodity, especially with some of the tech companies coming in. Just read an article about Open Door coming in. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but
A
they
little bit.
just buy properties so that people don't have to fix them up in order to prep them for sale, and then they put in the work. So it's kind of like a flipping company, but just a little bit differently. It's a lot more tech based. And but anyways, and there's Redfin and a lot of their discount brokerages. So there's a lot of competition in the real estate agent field. But I think the benefit of this industry is that there's so many nuances about how a transaction should be handled, and how a smooth transaction and a good experience in a transaction should happen. So that's the experience that I'm planning to provide to our customers, and that's what I think will set us apart.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on, because as the industry evolves and as it becomes more tech, and as people, you talk about, it's still gonna. I I think we have a long ways to go before it ever did go. You know, before the realtor dies. People talk about the realtors won't be around in 10 years or what. I strongly disagree with that. I don't think you know my parents. I don't think they would want anything to do with selling without a realtor. Like, they want that. People want that, and I just think it's hard to get away from that personal connection. And so by you branding yourself strongly around that personal connection and around that service, I think that's definitely a good thing. So I think you took a good approach there to me. Is now having some tech and all that kind of stuff involved, as you go, but as long as you keep that personal touch, even with the tech and all that involved, you still got a great niche there. So yeah, so we talk about, website. Obviously we need a website. We need to create a logo. We need to create a tagline.
You know,
You're kind of like elevator pitch, right?
right.
And then we need a niche. We can't just. Yeah, John Lee Dumas was on, months ago. I can't remember what episode, but he talked about, find your niche, and then find your niche within that niche, and then find your niche within that niche, and niche down so much until you can be the number one person in that niche. And so if you're going to, like, be a real estate agent, well, what's your niche? And how can you be the best in your niche? Because it's very tough to be the number one real estate agent in the country. But you can do extremely, extremely well and build an amazing brand and potentially become the number one real estate agent in the country if you have a niche and you own that niche. So once you can own a niche, that's when you can become very powerful. So figure out what it is that you're going to be focusing on, and then really, really focus on that. So that's extremely important to building a company or building a brand. Anything on that you want to talk about?
No, I think that's really important. I think it's difficult to do.
Yeah, for sure, because what you go, okay, I think one of the hardest things about niching is because you go, well, I'm going to lose opportunity, right? But I think the most successful companies stay true to their niche, and they're willing to lose opportunity. Like, they're just willing to say, you know what? Yeah, we could make $5,000. We could make $50,000. We could make $100,000 going that route in doing that. But if we're going to stay true to our niche, if we're going to be laser focused, instead of making $100,000 over here, we're going to suffer for a little bit here, but then we're going to make a business, a true business. And we're going to, build this thing to be amazing. And instead of making $100,000, we're going to be making $100 million, that type of thing. And so giving up the other stuff that's not within your niche and giving that, and you know what, there's ways to make money on that, as just, especially as a realtor, just simple referral. Like, here, this person came to me, I don't want them, I want you to have them, they're not in my niche, take them, just give me a referral fee. I mean, there's ways to get money still from it, but it doesn't distract you from what you're truly trying to focus on. And it's very tough, especially as a starting company, to give up some of those opportunities when you go, I got to try to put food on the family, or food on the table for the family too. So, so this kind of goes with the niche, but what's your target audience too? We need to know what our target audience is, and we need to know as much as possible about our target audience. Like, who are they? What do they do day in and day out? What do they want in life, as much as we possibly can know. That's really important. And brands have, I think, gotten fairly good at this now with social media, and even before social media too, as brands would figure out what you like, and then they would send mailings based on that. When you go into your, social media, it's always like geared towards the stuff you're interested in. So I see ads on real estate and ads on podcasts and, business and stuff like that. That's what I see. And all of a sudden we're looking at different ski trips right now with the family. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing ski, advertisements. Keystone is advertising to me, and other, places that are advertising to me all of a sudden. So they figure out what you want. And now I guarantee if I stop looking at ski stuff, that advertising is going to go down and down and down. And all of a sudden it'll disappear again, and it'll be whatever I'm looking at that time. So they've gotten very good at that. You need to make sure you're good at that as well. So you might not have the money and the resources that some of these companies have, but you need to make sure you're very targeted on your audience. I think the next thing that I want to talk about is, what's your mission? What are you trying to accomplish? And if it's self-centered, I think your business is not going to be successful. But if it's centered on the customer and the product, but more so the customer, then you're going to potentially have a lot more success if it's focused on that customer. So what are the benefits to the customer? What are the key qualities of whatever it is you're offering or selling? And how is it going to make your target audience happy? And how is it going to satisfy whatever need you're trying to fulfill? So,
yeah, all those things, your niche and your mission, and they really help you to be focused, because like you were saying, you can be really spread out. There's so many things you could be doing as a business. And relating again back to real estate, there's different geographical niches, or there's different asset types. So or you can focus on first-time buyers, or you could focus on move-up buyers. There's lots of different ways you could niche down in there. But if you can have your mission clear, that it's going to create the focus and create kind of a synergy with other people who need that service.
Yep. So the next thing I want to talk about is forming, forming your brand and making your brand voice and making it you. making sure that your personality actually goes through, or the company's personality actually goes through and everything you do, and then being consistent with that, always continuing to do that the right way. The one of the things that I've done, and right, wrong, or indifferent, I've tried to make sure, like, when you go to my social media, there's only a few pictures that if you're seeing my picture, I'm not changing it to me, um, you know, hanging out with so and so, or me doing this, or some selfie of me, or whatever it is. It's always consistent. That might be boring, but it's consistent for a reason. Is because I want uh, that main picture. I want everybody to see it, and to see it all the time. And so, if your main picture of your company, if you want that to be, whether you're the face of the company, or whether your logo is the face, or whatever it is, you want that to be consistent. So it's brand recognition. When people see, or when people see your company website, or company social media pages, or whatever it is, they're seeing the same thing over and over and over again. They're not seeing something totally different every time. You don't just change it all the time. So I think having the same imagery is important. I think when you're getting out there in social media, or getting out there anywhere, through emails, through advertising, however you're getting out there, make sure your brand um, look is the same. Make sure it's consistent.
Yeah, that's where it's helpful to have kind of your logo up front. And oftentimes that logo is going to have some main colors. So you're going to maybe have 2 or 3 different colors that is your brand.
Yep.
And again, it talks a lot to, or speaks to our subconscious, I think, and our what is it, the articulatory, I can't remember the name.
Yeah. Don't ask me, man.
But subliminally, as we see these things around, we're going to recognize them more and more. So
Yep.
yeah, definitely want to keep that in mind. You don't have to be the expert. Obviously, neither of us are the expert on that specific thing, but we're aware of it.
Right.
So, make sure you're not completely ignoring it.
Yep. And I think one of the important things, I mean, we live in a pretty cool age. So I think it's really important, at least it's been for me, is to get out there on social media, get out there and create a blog, or create a podcast, or, create a book. Be consistent on, emails. If you're going to do email marketing, email blasts and stuff like that, get on social media, get on Facebook, post on group pages, post your own topics, write blogs and post them on LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff like that. So I think just being consistent. And then again, it's all about personality. So if you're consistently putting out, podcasts and blogs, great, continue doing that. But don't try to cover every single thing. You might not be able to cover the gamut. Maybe you're not doing live Facebook, or maybe that's what your niche is. So figure out your social media niche as well, when you're getting out there and you're creating a brand, and do it very consistently. That's the most important thing. People give up very quickly. um you know I'll pick on my sister again, same sister. um I was talking to her about this very topic, about being consistent in social media, like, because I'll see a video of her, and it'll be promoting her brand. She sells Arbonne. Okay, so it'll be promoting her selling Arbonne, and then you won't see a video of her again for 3, 4, 5 months. And it's like, well, you know consistently do that. If you're going to do a Facebook live, great, that's great. Maybe you suck at it, you know but you're going to get better as you go. And you're just going to keep on, people are going to keep on seeing it. And some people might get turned off and not watch it. That's fine. You're not talking to them anyway. And maybe after a while, once they see, and even some of those people, like ignore it. Maybe after a while, when they keep on seeing like your name over and over, and they keep on seeing your brand over and over, and recognition, and they'll go, man, I should check this out. What's he or she really doing? And so that's kind of what I was saying is, look, instead of just doing it once every, few months, let's step it up and do it once every week, and figure out what's your niche gonna be. What are you gonna be talking about? Like, it should be like a consistent, here's an update, here's a new product. Or maybe you're trying to relate it to health, since she's doing Arbonne. Like, this is a great benefit of this Arbonne product because of this. And so just being very consistent in your social media, and really any kind of advertising is really important. I've noticed a big difference.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed because there's so many things that you can be doing. You
Mm-hmm.
could be doing the podcast, you could be doing the vlog, you could be doing blogging, um, or a newsletter, or so many different things, and we get caught up in all of the details. As your business begins to, become profitable, try to delegate those things, try to systematize them so that it's not such a burden. And then as you get bigger, you can add on more and more. Don't try to do everything at once, like you just
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah, pick one, honestly. I mean, I do podcasts. That's the main thing that I do. And, I write some blogs here and there, but it's not my main thing. Um, so podcast for me, that's what I've picked, and that's what I'm consistent at. I've been putting out now, y- you know, this is episode 99. Episode 100 will be next week. So we've been consistent for essentially a year of putting out 2 podcasts a week, every single week. And people expect it. People know that they can tune in on Monday and Wednesday to each episode. And so and even within that podcast, they're consistent. Like, I do an interview based one that comes out on Monday, and you and I, we chat on, and that comes out on Wednesday. So I'm very consistent. So you pick one, be consistent, and continue on, and don't give up after 6 months. Don't give up after a year. Don't give up after I guess maybe several years down the road. If you get no traction, maybe then you want to start giving up. But I wouldn't give up right away. I would say just keep on hammering at it and be more consistent, and maybe put out even more product if it's not successful. Make sure that you might need to tweak it, but make sure that you're just continuing to be consistent. So the
Yeah.
the space is very crowded, right?
The podcasting space, or just
Podcasting space, blogging space, I'd say the social media space is very crowded. If you would have gotten into blogging back in 2006, 5, 6, 4, whatever, you would probably have a really big brand recognition. If you got into podcasting back in 2010, 12, even probably 14, 15, you would have a lot bigger audience and recognition. It takes when it took for a podcaster in 2000, let's say 12, when it took them a year to get an audience that's sizable. Now today's podcaster, it's going to take 3 years to get that same type of audience. So you've just got to recognize where you're at. Just because somebody's really successful that's been doing it for 5 years doesn't mean that you're going to have that same success in 6 to 8 months.
Yep.
So.
Well, and then getting back to what you said initially about having a voice, I think that's key to setting yourself apart from all these other voices that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're unique, and you're and certain people are going to connect with you better than other people will. And so
Yeah.
um,
People draw personalities that they like, and you've got a different personality than me, and than anybody else. So people draw to certain personalities that they like, and that's just how it's going to be.
Yep. And so if you can just embrace that and, recognize, kind of like with the niche thing, you're not going to reach everybody. You're just going to reach the people that you are, best suited to connect with. So,
Yeah, I mean, I talked about Gary Vee already. He's got a very unique personality and a very kind of in your face personality, and that's not for everybody. Some people hate him. Some people could like just they would never even want to meet the guy. They just think he's a jerk. But there's tons of people that love him and they think that personality is fantastic, and they might not even have that personality. It's not that they have that type of personality, they just love that intensity. They love that. Same thing with what's the guy's name, Grant Cardone. A lot of people love him. Personally, I think he's kind of obnoxious. A lot of people love him, and that's what works for him. He doesn't care if I think he's obnoxious or if anybody else does, because he cares about that. A lot of people, a big audience, loves his boisterous personality, loves what he's doing, and that works for him. And he's got to be consistent. If all of a sudden he changed his personality because I said, you're kind of over the top, he definitely wouldn't be as successful as he is today. So, one thing I think can be very important, John, is if you look at your industry, you try to look at your niche, and you look at what other companies are doing what you're doing. And then you go and what are they doing to be successful? Where are the most successful companies and what are they doing? And you copy that. And you do that exactly the way they're doing, or very close, with your own personality, of course, with your own style. I think that's going to help you become successful a lot quicker. But then you also have to add your own uniqueness in there, your own kind of flavor in that. If you're in a slightly different niche than them, I think that'll be successful. But I think using and looking at what other companies are doing can be very helpful to copy, follow the leader, and then just try to tweak it just enough to where you become your own brand. You don't want to become them, but you want to become your own. So I think that can be important as well.
yeah, that can be also helpful if your service or industry is specific to your location. It can be helpful to find the same exact service industry in a separate location, so there's absolutely no competition, and there's no
Yeah.
no worry about stealing anything. It's the same, but you can use the same concepts and reach a completely different audience because you're in a different geographical location.
Sometimes I annoy my wife because I try to talk to her about, different business stuff and sales strategies and whatnot. And she's in sales, and one of the things you do have to be careful with crossing over to other, completely other markets. She's in the printing market. Well, printing sales is business to business. That's totally different than real estate sales, where you're going, realtor is selling to a consumer, or really a lot of different sales. And so, and even in her market, it's even more difficult and different because of what's happening in the industry. So anyways, you've got to understand what's going on within your industry. I do like taking from other industries, but you just got to be careful, because sometimes what works as a real estate agent isn't going to work as a sales rep for a printing company. And that's a mistake that I think companies make too when they hire sales reps. They go, "Oh, you are super successful as a sales rep for whatever this, and we'll hire you for this," and it's totally different industry. And you're like, I can't sell this stuff. I don't know what I'm doing, because it's a different strategy. So, I think that's it. That's all I really want to cover. I was going to talk about some other brands, but we basically already covered that. I mean, figure out your identity, know it, own it. I was going to mention, the difference between like an Apple and like a Rolex or a Neiman Marcus. I mean, they're totally two separate, companies, obviously in two different industries. But even if you look at like Apple and what PCs, Samsung or Dell or whatever, they're totally different brands, right? The Apple is speaking to that kind of rebel, that cutting edge, that artist. That's originally what they're speaking to. I think now they've got a bigger, broader brand, but that's who they're speaking to. And the IBM or the that they were speaking to like the business owner more or less, and this the straight everybody type of personality, not the unique people. So there's just different strategies to go about it, and obviously both companies are, Apple's done really well, and so is IBM or whatever other companies. So that's it, man.
All right. Well, very good. Hey, listener, if you are enjoying what you've heard here, please do search us out online, Pillars of Wealth Creation. So you can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, and we'd really like your input on this topic, building a brand. So what's been successful for you? What have you seen others do? What are you planning to do with your next endeavor? So it'd be great to have a little discussion about this after the show. So be sure to comment.
Awesome, John. Appreciate you being on, and we'll talk to you soon. Like every day Saturday, man.
You too.
Are you ready to start investing in real estate today, but don't know where to start? Sometimes investing can seem way too complicated, but it actually couldn't be any easier than with homeinvest.com. You know the co-founder and my friend Nate Armstrong. He appeared on episode 20, and if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, episode number 20. Home Invest is a company that allows you to invest in turnkey real estate. Their goal is to build powerful investment tools that make real estate investing accessible to everyone. They have contractors and property managers available for you with the click of your mouse. While other real estate agents can only offer a property, Home Invest brings you a full turnkey package that allows you to diversify your investments, earn passive income, and start building equity in properties. Their simple, intuitive design allows newcomers and experienced investors alike to hit the ground running and to be able to choose the properties when they want and where they want. View easy to understand charts and data to allow you to buy in only a few clicks or just a simple phone call. With Home Invest, you'll be building your portfolio as quickly or as slowly as you would like. And right now, Home Invest is giving our listeners, Pillar of Wealth Creation listeners, a free course on how to finally win in real estate investing. So go to homeinvest.com/pillars. That's homeinvest.com/pillars to claim your free course today.